All right, welcome everybody to the ChatGPT for Coaches Bootcamp. I'm Rob Cressy alongside Colin Scotland. Colin, how you doing today?
Pretty fantastic, Rob. Excited for this call. Like you, knowing what's on the horizon, this is going to be fun. Fun,
Yeah,
fun,
and
fun.
as I mentioned, I'm planting the seed that this will be the best ChatGPT training that has ever been created because we know what is on the horizon for this experience. Briefly, Colin, what is the community that you and I run to give context for everything that we're going to be sharing moving forward?
So, Rob and I have been working together for quite some time, and we have some really powerful conversations. And from those conversations, we kind of had this little head to head where we thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we just got to have more of these conversations and share everything that we do and are and have with the world? It would be this like truly unlimited offer for coaches, right? And that was the birth of our unlimited community that fell out of some pretty spectacular conversations that Rob and I had. And now we bring people along for the ride as we're all looking to do very similar things in terms of increasing our impact and just having a bigger footprint out in the world through our work. So that's the community that is unlimited.
And Colin, where can people find us?
Unlimited.coach. Super simple.
Wonderful. All right. So in this, we're going to assume nothing about what you know and your experience. We will both make this simple as well as applicable there. So, number one, if someone has not yet signed up for ChatGPT, go to chatgpt.com, sign up for an account. Also, by a show of hands here, who has ChatGPT on their phone? Okay. Eva, if you do not have ChatGPT on your phone, immediate action item, go into the App Store, download it on your phone because we have our phones everywhere with us. This is just a small inch, but you will quickly realize when you can see the full aperture of what's possible for you just by having it in your phone. Question number two, and Colin, this one's for you, and we're going to make all of these answers brief. Should you be using the paid version of ChatGPT or not? What do you think?
Yes. Is
Why?
that brief enough? Is that brief enough?
Well, yes, brief, comma, give us the reason why.
Okay, so one of the most powerful things that you can do with ChatGPT is to customize the way that it works. And that customization is only possible to the extent that we're going to show you today when you have the paid account. In addition to the customization elements, the nuances of using the tool that we're going to share today, there is also image generation capability that is not typically available in the free account. The free account has a lot of limitations in terms of what and how you can use it. So $20 a month, this thing has the potential to take your business from zero to the moon. Like, why wouldn't we expend $20 a month, right? The return I've seen on this tool is one of those that I would not bat an eyelid if they 5x the price, right? Because it's become that fundamental a part of my everyday. So yes.
Totally agree, Colin. It really blows my mind that this is free or $20 a month. It's in the grand scheme of things, that's really a glass of wine or two beers out. So this is nothing when it relates to what's the ROI of what we can create. So, Colin, last question here. Should I be using ChatGPT or should I be using Gemini or should I be using Claude?
Great question. If you are just starting out, then Rob and I's recommendation is to go into and use ChatGPT predominantly because it is arguably the Xerox standard of the LLMs, the large language models that are out there right now. We have Gemini, Claude, and OpenAI's ChatGPT all vying for that top spot. I play with all of them, and there are use cases where each one is better than the other. So Claude is better at analysis and certain creative copy tasks. Chat is better for obviously it has the inherent image generation, which is not present in Gemini in Europe right now. It's only available in the US. So there are different reasons to use different ones, but it can be overwhelming. So if you're just starting out, then just go with ChatGPT. It's the standard, and it has the most we're going to talk about customizing as well. So it has the most capacity to create those customizations. If you're looking to educate others, work with others, then you can create custom versions of the GPT that will allow you to coach your clients better, to educate others better. That's specific to ChatGPT. It's not quite available yet in Claude or Gemini. So for those reasons, ChatGPT is our default recommendation. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the other tools, but it is it just has the edge in terms of that customization, especially.
Don't overthink it. There's going to be a lot of shiny objects in the world of AI. We stick to one, and unless there is some massive change where we say the results are getting significantly better elsewhere, it is all about our execution that matters, not the platform that we are using. So there are 3 mindset tips that are absolutely foundational to the way that you can leverage ChatGPT from a depth standpoint to get the most out of it. So this would be something that will serve you very much. Number 1, talk to ChatGPT like it's an employee. Very important, because a lot of people, when they fail at ChatGPT, they say, why is it not giving me the results that I want? Garbage in, garbage out. They rely on ChatGPT to want to do all the creating as opposed to flipping it around. With you have an employee, you are very specific on what you want to give them. You're very detailed in the context that you give. You also give very clear instructions. And then number 4, you do not overwhelm it with telling it to do too much. Where do most people fail in the very beginning? They're like, oh my God, this thing can do everything. Write me a book in 4 seconds. And the book comes out and it's a piece of crap. And you're like, why is it like that? Well, yes, this is a supercomputer that can do everything. But once you understand that where it is better served is one thing at a time, one, instead of taking a book from 6 months to 12 seconds, what if it helped you write a book from 6 months to 1 month or 3 weeks? So treat it like it is an employee. It is your creative assistant. You are the leader. This is the number 1 thing that I see people fail at. They say, why is this not working? But they're just outsourcing all of it to ChatGPT. Number 2, and this is going to address the I don't know what to put into ChatGPT question that many people have. Take what is in your head and get it out and into ChatGPT. So one of the things that both Colin and I do when we're working with our clients who run into these problems is we will just sit there and literally type the stream of consciousness of what they are saying, and then we will hit enter. And all of a sudden the results are magical. And they're like, how did you just do what you just did? The answer is simple. You have a thought or an idea, and it can be half-baked. Just get it onto paper. And how I'll create an analogy for this is writer's block. A lot of people in writing say, oh man, I'm just stuck. I just don't know what to write. I've got a background in improv and comedy writing. And one of the things that I learned is writer's block is only a willingness to not write crappy words on paper. So if you're stuck, all you have to do is go pen, water bottle, dog, hat, shirt, black. And you're like, black? Man, I feel a hole into something. So it's just getting the flow of things going. And the same is true with ChatGPT. Just get anything there. And what you'll realize is when you use it as a creative partner, your half-baked ideas can accelerate faster, or you can find the holes in them just by sharing that. Colin, any quick context before we move on?
Yeah, one of the things I share a lot when I do keynotes around AI and ChatGPT in particular is think of it as a thinking partner. So as well as an employee, it's trained on the corpus of information of virtually almost all of humanity, and it can think across a disparate range of topics and subjects and ideas to a much greater capacity than any single human mind ever can. So with that, you've got one of the greatest thinkers at your fingertips. So just by thinking into the tool, like Rob said, so Rob and I had a laugh the other day because like clients are talking and saying, but I just wish that I could do da 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 da. And like as the clients are saying these words, I'm like literally, like Rob said, like tapping these words as the client's speaking them into the AI. So think into the tool would be our encouragement to you. I don't know how to do, and I wish I could and if only my and you just follow these thoughts and actually type those thoughts as you're thinking them into the tool. The stuff that we're going to talk about in a short while, the nuances of using the tool will allow you to get night and day responses out from it because you'll be a million times better at instructing. So, but to get started, just think into the text interface for now, and or the voice activated conversations using the mobile app. So I was away on holiday in Greece a few weeks back, and I can't tell you, like there was 3 people on that holiday, my wife, me, and ChatGPT, because we would literally be sat having a glass of wine, and there was ants chewing up the crumbs on the table. And I'm like, hey, how do ants communicate? And then we're in this conversation with ChatGPT, just exploring, inquiring, and learning, and literally just thinking our way through that space. So make it part of that process for you.
And Colin, this is a great segue to number 3. And this single question will change your experience for the next 10 years of your business. What are you not asking ChatGPT to do? I ask myself this on a daily basis. You sit there and you're like, yeah, whatever. I believe there are millions and billions of dollars in our ability to ask ChatGPT the right questions. It doesn't mean it's going to spit out a lottery ticket, but what it will give us is the strategies or the actions for us to then take that will then turn that into dollars or time or output. So whatever it is. So like Colin said, he's just sitting there and he didn't wake up last week being like, man, I'm really curious about how ants communicate. But all of a sudden he sees a bunch of ants and a bunch of crumbs and he's like, I wonder if ... And this to me is where the term impress yourself comes in, where our ability, and I know so many of you wanted depth in this training. The depth is in this conversation or in this question right here. What are you not asking it to do? So we're going to show you in the next hour and change both how to talk to ChatGPT the right way, and then number 2, use cases for coaches that we use on a daily basis. And once you open up that aperture to what you are not doing, now you'll literally just walk around and be like, wait a second, everything has the ability to be something that you input into ChatGPT to give you an answer, questions, strategies, or action items. And if you're always sitting there and you have the idea to do something you've never done before, that's when it's going to go light bulb, and you go, oh my God, I can't believe ... And the thing that really set this domino for me to set the context, when I first started using it, I was like, all right, you know everything. I want you to build an 8-week coaching program as if Jesus was alive and he is selling his services on Instagram. And I'm like, well, why did I choose Jesus? Because in the world of personal growth and development, Jesus is that dude. So I was like, I want him to come here. And he's like, for $199 a month, you're going to get Jesus's program, these 8 weeks. And this is something I just spent months designing my own program for. And guess what? In about 1:27 seconds, ChatGPT goes, boom, boom, boom. It says, here's the name of it. Here's the 8-week program. Here's 3 bullet points for each one. And I was like, oh my God. It took me 3 to 6 months to build my own program, and it did this for Jesus in about 1:27 seconds. So what are you not asking ChatGPT to do? So Colin, are you ready to get to how we can talk to ChatGPT the right way?
Yes, sir. I am indeed.
Yes. And Colin, I see where you are at right there, but in the interest of time, I'm going to keep this party going.
Let's do it.
Cool. All right. I want everybody to open up their ChatGPT right now, because what we're about to share, if this is the only thing you have not done, it will change your experience forever. So what we are going to do is I'm going to share my screen. How many of you have set up your custom instructions in ChatGPT? By show of hands. Congratulations. All of you are about to get your money's worth on this single thing. So the biggest issue people have is, how do I get better results? Why does ChatGPT not sound like me? So I want you to click the little circle in the top right here. And you're going to see a thing that says customize ChatGPT. And what's going to come up is something called custom instructions. And custom instructions are instructions that are always with your ChatGPT. So it says, every single time that Al or Rosario or Eva or any of you use ChatGPT, this is what I want you to know. So, and Colin, if you can get your good old timer ready, because we're going to do the version 1.0 of this. And then my encouragement is for each of you, when you are done with this boot camp, to create the version 2.0 of this. So what this says is, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better response? You know what this says? Context, specificity. So I want you right now to type in 3 different things. Number 1, who are you? So if you were to describe yourself in the way that you use ChatGPT as a coach, so a very simple thing. I'm a world-class personal growth and high-performance coach. All right. Imagine the difference between not having that and having that. How much more context we just gave ChatGPT. Number 2, I would love for you to put in your target demographic. So for me, I put in here, I help successful entrepreneurs, high performers, and business leaders optimize their time, energy, and well-being to become their ideal selves. So I included both who I help and what I do. And then number 3, I want you to put in your brand voice, AKA, what do I sound like? And here's the simplest tip for this. When you think about creating a brand voice, and Colin and I in Unlimited can give you some more mastery level stuff for this, but we're going to keep this simple. I just want you to say, if you're going to describe how you sound when you talk, whether it's verbally or in your writing, what does that sound like? So here's what I have for mine. And maybe you can even look at mine and see how accurate I am. My brand voice is personable, engaging, conversational wise. I can take large concepts and make them simple to understand. I'm relatable, brand safe, knowledgeable, entertaining, candid, positive vibes, inspiring, warm, your coach, best in class professional. Of course, what I just shared right there is very detail oriented and very unique to me. Colin, what is your brand voice concisely?
Love, compassion, speak directly to the first person with warmth in a casual, friendly tone. Simple. It can be, it doesn't have to be like grammar focused. It doesn't have to be very specific. There, like Rob says, there are ways that we can get you to the mastery level of this, but just a simple positioning statement. I am A, I help B to do C with D, and some words about you and how you communicate. And they could just be value words. They could just be words about things that are important and powerful for you. You don't have to be overly specific. You can get to that, but right now, I would suggest you stay as simple as possible and just share what comes up, what comes out of your heart, your head, as you're typing into the custom instructions.
And as a tip, if anybody has a question or wants clarification on something, please use the little thumbs up so that Colin and I can address that for you, because we're going to start to get very tactical on this in a very simple way. But this thing here, and I don't know if it's going to allow me to copy all of this into the chat. And Irene, I'll get to you in a second. Here's one mastery level tip for each of you guys. I included the 10 high level categories for my coaching. So what I did is I did a podcast with one of my clients that I worked with 18 months. And then I took the transcript, and using ChatGPT, I was like, what are the high level things that her and I talked about over the last 10 or the last 18 months? So it was clarity, clarity and vision, overcoming negative thoughts and feelings, planning and organization, business growth, personal growth. By simply giving this context to ChatGPT, boom, it knows who you are. Remember this, super important. There is one thing that AI does not have: soul, S-O-U-L. That's why when so many people say it sounds like a robot, we want to bring the soul, the life, the energy, the heart into it. And this is what it is. And I'm going to see if I can share what I have entirely in the chat. I'm going to have to do this in 2 separate ways because it character limited me. Give me 1 second here.
Can I just steal a screen for a second, Rob, while you're doing that?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. So another way to do this, if you jump into ChatGPT and use a prompt along the lines of this, analyze, if you've got a website, if you've got content, analyze X or extrapolate Y, and write me some custom instructions for ChatGPT. So I just fed my website into there that I would want to iterate on this to just refine them a little, but you can actually use the tool to create the instructions for the tool, right? So it's a bit of a meta implementation of this, but it's an interesting way to get started if you're not sure and you've got content, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a presentation, a transcript, a video, or a website or a landing page. You can use that as your starting point for that thinking into the tool, right? And just really quickly, Caroline, you mentioned about using it for different clients. Custom instructions can be turned on and off at any time. So by default, I have mine turned off. And if I'm working on my stuff, I'll turn them on. And then just to take this to the next level, which we will be doing another masterclass on inside of the community, you can create custom GPTs. So you can create custom GPTs per client, per program or thing. You can do it per job, like creating social, creating emails. Custom GPTs is a whole other world of customization. Custom instructions are the very first step in that, and you can turn them on and off as well. Okay.
So Rosario and Irina, we'll get to you in 1 second. All right. The second part for each of you, and I just dropped this in the chat. How would you like ChatGPT to respond? My encouragement is to copy exactly what I just put into the chat and paste it into yours and move on, because I've done this enough. Be thorough yet concise, specific, best in class, world class is the standard in your response. We are elite. Always take your time to ensure the response is best. Make it easy to read. Boom. All this is instructions there on the back end, like nice and simple. Colin, anything to add there before we quickly move on?
Yeah, just really quickly add these words into that as well. Never use the words : unlock, revolutionize, delve, craft, foster, because I literally look through my Facebook and LinkedIn feed and I'm like, AI wrote that, AI wrote that, AI wrote that. So these are words that you should 100% avoid and just add that on. Okay.
Cool. Irina, what's on your mind?
I think Colin just answered this, but the question, let's say we put this customization and we have it. Then you, Rob, asking, tell me what Jesus Christ would say. Should I turn this off, my customization, or how will that work with if I say Jordan Peterson?
Go for it, Colin.
By default, Irina, have it turned off. By default, have it turned off, because you want to have the full access to the nuances of, I love to have a conversation with John Lennon about how he wrote songs, right? And or a philosophical discussion with Plato. Respond to me in the style of and have, like a Socratic questioning. I've learned so much about active listening and Socratic questioning by simulating a conversation with ChatGPT. You won't want one of those things to be tainted or colored by your custom instructions. So by default, have them off and then turn them on intentionally as and when you need them.
Thank you. So it's by default, it's off.
Yes. Because when you take this to the next level, you'll use custom GPTs for most of this. So if I want to write a social post, I mention Colin Scotland's social media post generator GPT. So, hey, at social post creator GPT, write me a LinkedIn post promoting our upcoming masterclass where we are going to X. Use best in class for LinkedIn, right? And now it's using that tailored customization at a more advanced level. That's the advanced version of what we're talking about here with custom instructions.
And
Thank
one
you.
thing, keep it simple. I do not turn mine off. Mine are always on. Because if you think about the work you're going to do with clients, I think very rarely am I shipping the work for my clients. I am yes-anding, I'm creating with them. So we just wanted to show you this functionality. Whether you turn it on or off, you'll learn that just by doing it. Colin turns his off, I leave mine on. So there's your answer for that. So to make sure, and we're going to move this on, non-negotiables in talking to ChatGPT the right way. I mentioned them in the mindset, but I want to make sure that you guys got this again. Number 1, context. Number 2, specificity. Number 3, task definition, AKA what you want it to do. And then number 4, iteration, AKA prompt chaining. The first prompt is the beginning, not the end. A lot of people, when they start, fail because they think, why did this thing not give me the answer? My encouragement, think of it like peeling an onion. You start, here's my first prompt, next layer, next layer, next layer, next layer. So nice and simple there. Colin, anything else that you would add to the non-negotiables for writing? Because like, here's the example. Write me a marketing strategy. It can do it, but it'll be generic versus write me a marketing strategy. I'm a high performance coach who specializes in X, Y, and Z. And I want you to design it around creating a piece of video content a day on Instagram. And I only want it to take me 30 minutes.
One of the things to really appreciate here is that words matter. Every word matters. Even tiny words like on, in, of can make a world of difference. So because of something called semantic vectors, everything has a weight. So if we use the words small, little, tiny, minuscule, they all will have different impacts on the AI. And by default, will create completely different outputs. So your ability and appreciation of the need for you to be specific. I have an acronym I created called STAR, which I kind of borrowed from the world of HR, right? So what's the situation? What's the task? How do you want it to look or appear? Like, give me bullet points, give me a table, do this, do that. And then the refinement of that task. It's a carbon copy of what Rob's just run through there. But that specificity is where, when the more that you play with the tool, the more that you think into the tool, like we're suggesting, the more you'll be able to do these things without thinking, to say, be concise, use bullets, and you're applying these frameworks as you go.
All right. Next thing, by a show of hands, how many of you have uploaded an image before to ChatGPT? Okay. For those of you who have not, we want to make sure you know this functionality. And Eva, you can do this on your phone or your computer. Simple example. So, welcome to life. All of a sudden, one day, my faucet in my kitchen, the little thing that pulls down, decided to pull down and not pull up. And I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not a plumber. I don't know anything about this. So what did I do? I just took a picture of this, uploaded it to ChatGPT and said, how do I fix this? It should be all the way up. Is that a good prompt? Not particularly, but I'm also not using this to grow my business, because one of the things that will make you better as a coach with ChatGPT is, how do you use this in everyday life? Well, it might have just said do X, Y, and Z. So it gives me all of this. But guess what? I then just went under the sink and I'm like, here's some context of what else is under here. It understands all of this stuff. Then I'm like, where does this thing go? You can literally use the little arrow and draw on it. So you can see I started here, went to here, went to here. This is how to fix it. And then I was like, hey, I found this thing. What is this? I don't know anything about this. My plumbing is a 0 out of 100. But this got me to the point where I could actually install whatever this thing is. And I'm like, does this go on it? I'm sharing this to make sure that each of you know, sure, we can do this to fix a faucet, but what else could we use this for in our own coaching business? What are you uploading? Is it documents? Is it sentiment analysis? Think about your coaching hat. Colin, I'm curious for you. What do you upload that they might not be thinking about?
So one of the interesting use cases is to take like a snapshot of something. Like I often do it if I see a graph or something that I don't quite understand. So I'll just take a snapshot on my phone and I'll use the phone version of the tool just to analyze. And I honestly will do a lot of this in Gemini, not ChatGPT, not to kind of muddy the water here, but only because it has Google have just released a lens feature, Google Lens, where you can take a snapshot of part of a screen and use that as your query. So this is where I geek out over this stuff, right? I'm playing in all three of them at once, and I'm taking chat's output and putting it into Gemini. But on a basic level, just beginning to understand the world around you. You may have seen this on a lot of Android phones, but you can take a picture of something and it will find you what that thing is and where you can buy it, right? So you can do a lot of interesting implementations in the when I'm reading. So I was looking at the David Hawkins map of consciousness. Rosario, I know you and I are both avid David Hawkins fans. So like little snapshot of that. Tell me some stepping stones for moving from, moving into courage, moving from one level, like the emotional, the emotions chart. Like give me some practical steps on this, and like using those things as a starting point can be an interesting way to think into the tool. So I use that for my spiritual development a lot. I'm doing some Rosicrucian studies right now, and there's all kinds of visual stuff in that I don't really understand. So I use the AI for that as well.
Colin, did you just make up a word?
Go on.
Rosicrucian? I don't even know what that means.
Oh, it's real.
It's real. It's real.
I'm just making a joke. Okay. So next level here. How many of you have uploaded a document before to ChatGPT? Okay. So here is the next level of this for our clients, and each of you are involved in this. So I went back through the last 35 calls of Unlimited. I pulled out, because I take notes of all of this, all of the questions, things you created, the things that were on your mind. And I put them into a document, and I said, and this is where we're going to start. We're not going to get to the nuances. What are the people doing with the way that you write that most people don't? Is instead of just telling it to start doing stuff when you upload it, I always want it to respond back to me that it got it. So you'll see here, all right, attaches a document. Before we move forward, respond with got it, dog, so I know we're good. Because one of the problems is we can overwhelm ChatGPT with how much we give it. So you can replace got it, dog with whatever you want. I just do that to make myself laugh. So then from here, I then give it the instructions for it. So nice little nuance. Instead of, hey, here's everything, do it. Just make sure you got this. Remember, treat it like it's an employee. I understand this. Got it, dog. So nice, simple thing. And once you understand this, you can upload whatever document you want. Little tip, text files work better than PDF. Why? Because AI has to understand what a PDF is versus it can read a text document, despite the fact that I uploaded this as a PDF, so I did not follow my own best practices. Colin, anything to add to that before we briefly move on to the nuances?
Yeah, there's in the paid version of ChatGPT, if you share your screen, Rob, and just click that little paperclip icon there to upload a file, in the paid version, you can connect to Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. You can't do that in the free version. So I find that to be priceless because all of my stuff's in Google Drive. So it's really simple to begin analyzing transcripts and different documents directly that way.
Cool. So now we're going to get into the nuances. This is the depth of how to write or talk to ChatGPT. And I am going to share in the chat some phrases that Colin and I use in our talking with it that you may or may not. Number one, be concise. Because sometimes ChatGPT can just go, barf, I'm going to give you this massive thing. Be concise. Number two, bullet points. For me, this is about legibility and how I read. So be concise, be world class, and in bullet points. The next one, and this one is super valuable. why or why not. ChatGPT by design will yes and with you, but we are aware that it's actually more valuable for us to know where it is not good. So when I look at my writing, the number one thing I use ChatGPT for is to tell me why my writing is not good. So I will say, does this work? Why or why not? It'll say, these are the reasons it works. These are the reasons it does not work. And then Colin, do you want to talk about your tree of thought prompt, or I guess language?
Yeah. So if we ask the chat GPT to do a specific task, then it will go through its process and it will create an output for the specific task. But there's a way, and some of the things that Rob's just shared there actually cause the AI to go back over itself and to repeat the process. So if I ask you to think of a color right now, think of a color, right? Think of a color in your head. Your brain searches through, and then a color pops into your head and you hold it where you kind of have it in thought, right? What the equivalent of the tree of thought, these processes that we're talking about, they cause the AI to think, to rethink, and to reevaluate, and then to break down that thinking into micro steps so that it can go deeper, and it can rethink and then reevaluate, and as a consequence come up with infinitely better outputs. So the way that this works is really, really simple. Think about steps. If you want to create a coaching program, we wouldn't go into AI and say, write me a coaching program. We wouldn't go, I am X, I do Y for Z, and this is how I do it. Write me a coaching program. We would work in steps. Step one, let's identify the ideal client. Let's focus on their pains, their problems, their issues. Step two, let's focus on the solution that we deliver to those clients. Step three, let's focus on now how we deliver those outcomes. Let's focus on the big rocks to get them to that outcome. Step four, let's break that down into class structure. Let's now create coaching sessions and classes and learning materials. So we don't try and do everything in one go. We do everything in a structured way using steps. And the tree of thought is a mechanism in prompt engineering where you can encourage the AI to think, rethink, and rethink again and evaluate along the way. So it's a beautiful approach of giving structure. The AI is an expert in pattern recognition. So the better the pattern that you can give it, the better the outputs would be. So my web analysis prompt is a good example. ChatGPT, I am A, I help B to do C with D. Help me to create a web analysis. It doesn't end there. It has W stands for wants and desires, with an explanation. E stands for emotions, like what are the driving forces behind somebody looking to purchase this solution to their problem? Beliefs, what are the key things that they need to believe in order to say yes? So see how we're giving very detailed structure to the AI in this format that takes a steps approach rather than the whole thing in one go, right? And that's part of the iteration that we talk about. And it's something that is very often missed because it's quite an advanced thing to grasp. There are multiple ways that you can apply that, but that's the simplest format, is just to think in that way. You can also have it like, think about, here's a thing, right? I want to work on my USP, my unique selling proposition. I am A, give it a load of context, give it all of that stuff that we just talked about with the star stuff. Now, consider the 3 most potent USPs that would be suitable to me. Analyze each one and then suggest to me the most, give me the most powerful one and tell me why. Just give me the output. Don't give me your reasoning. So right now, rather than say, give me a USP, can you see how we've just caused the AI to think again, think a third time, evaluate its output, and now give me its prioritized best performing one out of all of the things that it's thought about. So now we're not just getting a USP. It's a silly example. We're not just getting a USP. We're getting a well thought out version that's going to be like 5 or 6 iterations down. So you are manipulating the technology so that the outputs are just so much better thought out. And honestly, just that approach will make it night and day for you.
Great.
Does that make sense?
So
Any questions? Drop them in the chat.
a few little nuanced nuggets that you guys can each implement. Number one, so I'm going to show you how this works. So remember, task definition. I took what's in my head and get it out of my head. I have a document full of customer language, things my clients have said on calls. This is the most valuable data. It comes from 30 hours together. If I want to extract the best theme, sentiment, and gold from it, what would I ask in the prompt? What I'm going to call this is reverse engineering. Sometimes you have an idea, but you don't know what it's supposed to say to get you what I want. So like, if I say themes and sentiment and gold, what I'm really trying to get from it is, here's a bunch of awesome stuff, pull the best stuff, organize it in a way that I can do something with, but I didn't know how to say that. So one thing each of you can do in your creator tool belt is to reverse engineer it. What would I ask in the prompt to ... So if you don't know, start from the end and work backwards. Because I even say, I'm not 100% clear on this, even though I know I want to use it as reference. Number two, let me show you some symbol structure. And Colin was talking about this, but I want to identify it. Here's what I want to do right here. I'm just saying a podcast video about a reminder to your identity. The challenge I'm having is this. Remember, the key in this is to create what they are thinking. Also remember. So when I think about how I type to get the best results for ChatGPT, one, there's the stream of consciousness, but I'll say, I want this. I'm challenged by this. Also remember this. And just by doing it, like Colin has talked about, it guides it into the right directions. And then here's the last part about this is we talk about things being specific. The more context you give, the better. So when I write, I will put my prompt up here, and then I put context below it. And this right here is super important because remember, chat, treat it like it's an employee. If I put context with the colon, it then understands everything below it. Here's the other thing I'll do. Instructions and then colon. So task definition is one of the things. You might give tons and tons of thoughts and ideas and everything, but if you just put instructions, colon, it then will follow those instructions for what you want to do. So now in your tool belt, you say, what I want, do I have any challenges? Here's my context. Here's my instructions. Look at the depth in which we can now architect what it is that we want to create. So every time I use it, I'm just copying and pasting as much context as possible in this. Any thoughts or questions right here around the architecture of how we're writing these things? Is this making sense? Is this too simple or too much or nothing? Or keep moving forward? What's on your mind?
It's a question around prompt engineering. So it's more, you had your bullet points around world-class, concise, and so on. What I've noticed is really good prompts that I've seen have really kind of tapped into a level of expertise that I wouldn't have. So for example, I saw one yesterday, which was instructing ChatGPT, you are a copywriter, boom, 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 boom. And it had really rich detail invoking ChatGPT as an expert in a particular area. And I'm just curious how you guys think about that, how you tap into that beyond kind of what seems to be like world-class is a good pointer, but still seems quite high level to me. So I'm just kind of curious to tap into the real articulation of those sort of prompts.
Go for it, Colin.
Thanks, Rob. So one of the things that we're going to gift you at some point during this presentation is what we call intentional play prompts. And so this, if you look at these 3 prompts here, the most important part of these prompts is the first word, act, act as, well, for second, 2 words in that one, act as, analyze, and create. So these are the target outputs. This is what we want to instruct the AI to do. So act as is a really powerful one. So act as a, and it could be copywriter, world-class business coach, a NLP master practitioner, and an expert in Stoic philosophies, a spiritual guidance specialist, focusing on the Toltec wisdom and the books of Don Miguel Ruiz, right? So whatever it might be, whatever it is that you're looking to do, you're always giving the context. And another layer to that is to build into that the direction, the output that you're looking for. So create, analyze, act as, they're kind of 3 main directions that you could go to play with that. Does that answer the question, Al?
Yeah, no, it does. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. Next thing, and this is just a little nuanced, simple thing that I want to make sure each of you are aware that you can do. So I'm just going to take a generic thing. Oftentimes when I am creating prompts, sometimes ChatGPT will spit something out that I do not like. So for example, we just got our house painted and I wanted to know last night if I could use the grill when the guy just painted it. So I just asked, will it strip the paint if I cook a burger at 400? And it gives me this answer here. But did you guys know that there's this edit message little button here? So let's say I see this and I'm like, that's actually not what I wanted. Because I want to cook for my family, give me other cooking options. So you can go here and it will recreate what it is. The reason this is valuable is because of prompt chaining. So each one builds on top of each other one. So when I look at this, you're like, okay, here's my alternative cooking options. You're like, did this give me the answer that I wanted? But if I'm like, no, that actually didn't give me, I didn't do this right, or it starts saying, where you'll learn this the most is if you're trying to write headlines, because it's hit and miss on if it does a good job with headlines. So you'd say, because I want to cook, give me other cooking options. Also, I want them to be done in 30 minutes or less. So you can sort of keep going back and refining it based on what it gives you. And of course, I just used a generic example, so this isn't necessarily applicable for the coaching, more of the, did you guys know this functionality exists? I just wanted to make sure there on that. Colin, when I look at what we have next, I think that's it. Do you want to move over to the use cases?
Yeah, I just want to share one other quick one, if that's okay, Rob.
Yep.
So this is an example prompt of the tree of thought prompt. So using the tree of thought approach, create a coach. I want to develop a coaching program. And again, we'll share all of these prompts with you as well. But this, so look how this breaks things down into step by step, right? So I've given it the steps that I want it to consider: defining the core purpose, the identifying the key themes, structuring the program itself, right? You could do any or all methods of that. Now, this is where I just want to show you something else. So that's the tree of thought. And if we go, okay, defining core purpose, what you can do at any point with the AI is you can select. Look at that. It's not working in the, this is the desktop app, by the way. So I'm going to switch over to the web app. So in the web app, it's not working on that. So let's go. Oops. Tree of thought coaching. So in the web app, this doesn't seem to be a thing on the just learn something. Doesn't work on the desktop app, but in the web app, you can select part of an output, brainstorm potential goals. So if I want to know a little bit more about that, you've got this little reply icon. So we can speak specifically about that section. So I can say, explain more about this. So now we can just shift the conversation subtly around a particular portion of an output. This is useful in Gemini, you can edit and you can do a lot more specific stuff around this. But in ChatGPT, I find this reply function really useful because you can hone in on a specific area and redivert the chat and then go back to what you were talking about earlier. The reason this is helpful is because chat remembers everything that goes before it. If we start a new chat and say, tell me about, what was this one? Goal setting, right? Tell me about goal setting. It doesn't remember all of this context from before. So it's good to do it in the same thread. This is linked to what we talk about when we say about prompt chaining. So like adding one thing onto another. This is another variation of how we can just take the conversations into different pathways. No right or wrong way to do this. We're giving you intentionally a fire hose of different methods and ways to do stuff inside of the AI, hopefully to spark some thoughts. Yes, it will be overwhelming, but that's the whole purpose of the replay, so that you can go and intentionally play with the tool from that. Thanks, Rob.
Cool. So let's get to some use cases here. And if you have any thoughts on your mind of, hey, how would I do this with ChatGPT, let us know. But we're going to sort of share some of the favorite ways that we use this in building our business. So we just talked about how we are writing. Now we're going to talk about where are we using this in our coaching business. And I'm going to share a very, very simple one here. World-class editor. So whether I'm doing a LinkedIn post, a newsletter, or an IG reel, here's a script for an IG reel I'm going to do. Does this work? Why or why not? Also, is the theme and narrative consistent in flow? Why? Because when I speak, I'm very conversational, but I can jump from here to here to here to here. And I just want to use it to say, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And boom, it gives me, here's the effectiveness, theme and narrative consistency. Consider this. And then here's just sort of how I speak to it. The line I question is this: is there more power if instead it says this? So I'm just talking to it like it's my employee there. And I just have an entire thread that is just post why or why not. So when you think about the organization on the side of what you do, I like to bucket it based on the use case. So all of this is just my why or why not writings there. So I'll write it first and then use it as the editor the second time. And in doing so, I'll see, all right, it checks this. This is consistent. And when I update it, I just put it nice and simple. Updated, does this work better? Could that be improved? Yes, but it's a very simple thing because it's just prompt chaining it on top of that. Colin, do you want to share one of the ways that you use it? And I know we have a bunch to get to, so we'll try and be concise in how we do this.
Let's do it. Yeah. So I was really curious, Rosario, when you mentioned at the beginning about an SOP for using ChatGPT. And so I had a use case that was creating an SOP, because creating standard operating procedures is something that I help my clients and their teams do a lot. Inside of the Vault, I have a prompt that will create an SOP for you. And so while we were chatting just then, I just put, I need your assistance in creating a comprehensive SOP for the process of improving my prompt engineering skills. I thought it would be interesting just to see what the output would look like. I don't know whether it's going to be any good or not, but if you notice, this prompt is engineered using the step-by-step or that tree of thought approach that we spoke about. So it gives the pattern, gives the context, and then let's look what the output looks like here. So title, purpose, scope, not going to go into the details, but you can see how we have gone some way to creating an SOP around how to get better at prompt engineering. Don't know that that's an appropriate use case, but I thought it was a fun one for me to play with on the fly. Creating SOPs is a really powerful thing that we can use if you upload a video transcript. Loom does this really well. You can record a video and it will use the AI to create a SOP for you. But what I like to do with like video transcripts, upload that and then use the SOP prompt and then have that create the prompt. That's how I train like my clients when they've got teams and they're looking to create systems. Like I show them how to do that and then they go crazy creating all these SOPs.
Oh, I just threw in the chat. If any of you have a prompt you want us to take a look at, raise your hand, because one of the things that we can do is give you sort of a red light, yellow light, green light of, oh, this is good, or is there more power accessible somewhere else? So let me open up some unique possibilities here. Have any of you ever thought about reverse engineering the way that somebody else did something to find how they did it? So take a look at this. I just saw a Facebook post in my feed that resonated with me, both the message as well as the way they delivered this. I want to reverse engineer how they wrote what they did as if it was a formula, or they were going to teach me the framework and thinking of it. Because what stands out to me about it is the depth, specificity, authenticity, as well as length. And then I just pasted the post. And what did this thing say? Here's the framework. So here, as if like I could take one of Colin's articles or something, and it will tell me how Colin did this. Personal story, teaser, valuable insights, main content, value that's not value, systems over strategies, goes all the way through. And here's the analysis in the framework. Boom, 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 boom. So if I wanted to create my own post, start with a personal story, tease the valuable insight, present key points with structure, balance emotional and rational appeal, end with a strong call to action. So I could then just take something that I wrote and say, hey, I want to use this framework. Here's what I've currently written. Where can I improve this to make it what I want to do? Make sense? Colin,
So
I see that.
Imagine.
Go ahead.
Yes, you see the light in my eyes, don't you, Rob?
I do see the light in your eyes.
So imagine taking this approach and feeding into it a world-class, high converting sales page for a coaching program, and then asking the AI to extrapolate, important word, extrapolate the key components or structure of this page. And then, so first step, then ask the AI to extrapolate emotional drivers of this solution. Like who are the ideal clients? What are the emotional drivers behind their decision to buy this program? Why is it successful? Why is it different to anything that's out there? And then if you've got your own, you can introduce your own and do some compare and contrast analysis with the AI, or you could create your own if you're starting from scratch, right? How can I use this very same structure to create a world-class landing page to sell my offer that is X? Upload a PDF of what X is. One of the interesting things, just getting excited like a kid in the candy store now. And I've trained myself to say candy store because I'm from the UK and we would say sweet shop, but you guys don't know what that is, right? So now like the kid in the candy store would be to, here's how I speak. That would be a document. Here's what I do, like a detailed analysis of what I do. That would be a document. All of these documents can be drawn on inside of these conversations. So at this point, here's my ideal client analysis that I did with ChatGPT last week. Use this to help me now create this world-class sales page for my offer. So that, when you get into this and you start thinking into the tool like we've talked about, that really is the key to unlocking all of these doors. Like literally my eyes lit up when Rob was sharing that because I was thinking, oh, and we could do this and we could do that as he's doing it. So that's cool. Thanks, Rob.
Cool. So by show of hands, have any of you created a coaching program or a landing page or something of very rich substance in your business using ChatGPT? Great. Awesome. So tons of success there. Quick little nugget from a use case standpoint. If you want to create a brand strategy for yourself, it helps to start with what are the elements of a world-class brand strategy, and then go and help it build it for you. So oftentimes we know we want to create something, but we don't know what the best practices are. So start by just having it do that thing first. Colin, do you have a use case that is top of mind for you? Or once again, everyone, if there's something top of mind for you that you want us to cover or look at of yours, definitely let us know. We have tons of things that we can share, but we're just trying to open up the aperture for ways that we are doing this that you might not be to add to your coaching practice.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, look, I've got a list as long as my arm and I could go on until the sun goes down here in the UK. through these things. But it would be much better, I think, more powerful if we're speaking to what's on your mind, what you're looking to do, where you're looking to grow and develop, and then we can tailor these use cases specifically to that. So feel free to share in the chat what that thing is for you. Another one I do, we talk about a thinking partner. I have so many conversations with the AI around all areas, like my spiritual development, my all kinds of stuff. I created one that has the AI act as a business mentor and a business coach to ask critical questions for you. So I like to think through. I love the thought palace concept, in the Sherlock Holmes books, and just using the AI to follow on streams of thought around specific use cases, specific ideas, specific areas of focus. I think it can be so powerful to do that. All of this stuff, by the way, is inside of the AI prompt vault, all of the stuff that we're sharing here. So you've got access to all of this, but that on its own doesn't serve you. What serves you is I am here right now and I want to X. That's the starting point for you, not necessarily the things that we're throwing at you here. We're just throwing these things at you to open your aperture, as Rob says so beautifully, right? So as to what's possible, so that then you are inspired and encouraged to go play for yourself.
So Caroline, answering your thing, great context there. I want to support female marketers who work in solo roles to work through a 10-module course that supports the role in marketing, but also enhances their confidence and belief in the expertise. So do you want the outline? Do you want the course? Do you want the bullet points? What is it that you are looking to create there? So you gave good context, but what's missing there is the specificity of what your employee, what you want it to do.
Okay, so I would want to start with the titles that take the female through the journey to feeling confident in their own expertise to actually excel in their role. So it would take them through that. So it would be building up their confidence whilst also understanding the marketing side of their job as well. And then so the titles for that. And then I'd look at the actual outline for each module. And then I'd probably feel quite comfortable to take the rest on myself, because I'd use AI for it, but it'd just be like the titles and then what we could include in the modules. I think that's what I struggle with, understanding what content to put in.
So if you were going to say, Rob, I want it to do just the very first thing, what is the very first thing you want it to do?
The titles for the 10 modules.
So do the titles come before the outline?
Obviously not. No, the outline first. So
Oh, okay. So let me see if ChatGPT will allow me to copy this, because sometimes. All right. So let's start with this. Who are you? Briefly, what do you do?
a mentor and coach for female marketers.
All right. I support views. So this here, it will be fine. But where I would have added more context is, did you have anything top of mind for what you would like in the modules? Because this is where, hey, on my mind is this and this and this.
I suppose I've missed out that I work with females in like a sisters circle environment. So it's quite holistic. It's quite spiritual. So we do a lot of journaling and reflection throughout the process.
Yeah, Rob's just thinking into the tool. Like, just put your thoughts in as raw thoughts.
Right. So see, little bit, because look, this single thing right here is going to change the entire thing.
Yeah, it is.
Right. So it's a spiritual, and I want to do this. So this here, if you look at how simple, I'm going to help create an outline, one supporting sentence. This is one of my favorite things for helping me understand one supporting sentence for each, because if you think about, I logically think of things almost like they are bullet points, sub-bullet points, bullet, sub-bullet. So you can learn and it'll sell you on your own outline. So you'll read it and be like, does this pass the sniff test? And then you can take the page from Colin and use the little quote thing and say, let's build this out. So personal branding here. So you can look at this. Is this closer to what you were thinking?
Overcoming self-doubt, effective communication skills, which is like elevating their own brand in it, trying to manage your stress levels when you're actually working with people that think you just color in for a living.
So this is how I would start it. And then what I would do is next. So if we were to think about how I build a course, you'd have your overall, you have your 10 outlines, and then I would say, give me the 3 to 5 sub bullet points of this. You may already know these things, but it's a way to accelerate the speed and have a system in which you can do this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously the same. I'm sure for yourself, it's just like that blank page. This just takes that away completely. And even if it isn't right, it helps me know what isn't right, you know?
Right. So cool. Did that help?
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. So Rosario, I'm coaching an executive team and they're having internal difficulties. I'm preparing their 2-day retreat and I have a design of the days. The client had me sign an NDA, so I'm cautious of what I can ask chat. Do you have ideas for how I can frame this? Colin, I can see the words coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm already there, man. I'm already there. Can you see this screen here?
Yes.
I am a coaching. So I literally, I didn't use anything fancy, Rosario. I just copied and pasted what you'd said in the chat here. And then the additional bit, the key goal is to be able to have difficult conversations between team members. And then and then this was the output, right? So setting the stage, facilitated conversations, emotional intelligence and empathy building, conflict resolution strategies. We haven't iterated, directed, created any nuanced approach to this, just a raw output from ChatGPT as a starting point. Excuse me. So then what I did is I said, I'd like to focus on only items that deliver the outcomes. With this, create an itinerary for the 2-day retreat. We run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. So now we're starting to get ideas. This isn't, ChatGPT won't do the work for you. It will propel you forward. It will amplify what you do and it will accelerate the speed at which you get to outcomes and results. So don't expect the AI to do the work. Expect it to go some part of the way in sparking that thought. Oh, this is, no way would we do that, but this is good. I've never thought of that, right? Maybe we can start to build something now that makes sense from this. So that's the way to think about this. Don't think, oh, ChatGPT, make me my program. I'm sitting here sipping coffee, right? And then expect the outcome that's going to be a magnificent, magical program. Rather have it be your thought partner to spark that creative process. So now we've got some input in terms of the itinerary. And then I was just going to say, create a coaching exercise or visualization to help. This is in your intentional play prompts that I'm going to share with you in a sec to help participants. What was it? Was it difficult conversations that you mentioned in that, Rosario?
Yes.
So one of the interesting things that you can do is spent some time in the world of education. So using models like Bloom's when you're designing programs for coaching and stuff, using models like Bloom's taxonomy, Kolb's learning cycle. So there are very specific learning models and processes that you can apply to how you design coaching sessions, coaching programs. And look, we're sharing all of this stuff and we're saying, give it structure, give it key, give it all of that. If you don't know what that is, like Rob just said there, ask the AI first. So let's ask the AI, right? So I've just asked it to create a visualization that you could use inside of that program, right? So now I'm going to say, given everything we've discussed, what are the 3 most appropriate, ChatGPT is very forgiving with typos and all of that, which is really useful because my typing is atrocious. Given everything we've discussed, what are the 3 most appropriate learning models or frameworks that we should use for this retreat? Really simple. I know we could go a bit more detailed on that, but if we don't know, ask the AI, because we don't know that we don't know. So what are the things that we should consider? When Rob says, what are you not asking the AI? This is the kind of thing that we're encouraging you to actively play with. What am I not thinking about here? What should I consider before we even get to designing the plan, right? Designing the day. What am I not thinking about that I should consider? What will deliver the outcome that these people are looking for? What is the outcome? Do we know what that is, right? And even all of these things, we don't have to have the answers. This is the beauty. We go on a journey of exploration with the AI, right? So now we've got the ladder of inference model, the non-violent communications framework, and the, I've not heard of that, Johari window model. Okay. So now now we could use tree of thought and say, analyze these 3 models and assess and come to a conclusion as to which one would be the most appropriate for the session's design and why, or why not, right? So just kind of taking the things that we've shared with you and showing you how these things can be applied in a very practical way. So this is the way that Rob and I are just typing into the AI without thinking. Like, Rob and I will be on a session and I'll be like, Rob, stop there. What did you just do? Like, what the heck did you just do there? Like, the way that you use the word sentiment analysis in that prompt made that completely different. Like, how did you do that? So you taking that kid in the sweet shop, I'll say sweet shop, kid in the sweet shop approach is the key to really taking this to the next level. Rosario, if that's helpful, I'll share that chat with you so you've got a copy of it. Oh,
Yes.
and what you've seen coming up there, was any or some of that useful or interesting to what you're looking to do?
I saw a lot of things that I already have. It was very interesting that I think the fear that I had was giving chat very specifics about the team, because I have found with other clients that if I've been using chat to write the proposals, it figures out who the client is, even though I've signed the NDA, and will start referencing the client, and then I start getting like, shit, okay,
Yeah,
cancel the chat, because then I start getting scared with where the lines get drawn, because it does pick up like where what I've done in the past.
Yeah, let me just speak to that real quick, because I think it's really important. The ethical kind of privacy issues and all of that. So there's a couple of things that you can do to address that. We have to be mindful, so we don't put our credit card or social security numbers into the AI, right? Just like we wouldn't put them out into the world and like go waving them around in the street. So the same is true with the AI. We have to be mindful about what we're putting in. And there are 2 things that we can do. One thing that I like to do is to have, we talked about frameworks and systems and processes. I have a custom ChatGPT loaded up with all of that stuff. And then I start a temporary chat. So if you start a temporary chat, it won't be used to train the model. It won't go anywhere. It will kind of bypass a lot of those things that are causing it to kind of figure things out and stuff like that. So you can use constraints in a way that make it not safer, but make it more protected. Does that make sense, Rosario?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
It does, and this was very useful. Gave me some really good ideas on this. Thank you.
I will share that chat thread with you so that you can have a play with it for yourself as well.
All right, so a few quick use cases here for each of you. Number 1, we'll even use what we did for this boot camp. Hey, we're hosting a ChatGPT Bootcamp. I'm creating a concise, value-driven, benefit outcome-focused intro paragraph that we're putting on our page. Can you help me write, distill, organize this copy as if you are Seth Godin or David Ogilvy? So I know that those are world-class marketers. We throw that in there. Here's my version 1.0. So when I'm using it as my creative assistant, I'm doing it first, and then it can refine it. And then I talked to Colin, and he said, here's some things that stood out. Half-baked ideas. Boom. Here's the refined version. I even took a screenshot of what the little landing page was going to look like. Boom. And then good start, but here's what I want. Here's what I feel we want to come through. This is a game changer for me. Sometimes its words don't exactly hit what you want. So you're like, I want to feel this coming across. So they feel this. We want to do this. And it just helps bring the emotion into things right there. Next thing here, and I know Colin has prompts for this, but if you guys have not done this, this is the best thing in the world. Give me the top 10 pain points of my ideal customer. And then once again, include a supporting sentence of the language they would use in bullet points. Why? I want to know what each of you are thinking. So if you're overwhelmed from juggling multiple responsibilities, I feel like I'm constantly pulled in 100 different directions and it's taking a toll on my energy and focus. Where this is important is that so often we would say overwhelm as opposed to, man, I'm pulled in 100 different directions. One is more of the marketing speak. One is what we're actually feeling. And then with this, we can all create a piece of content that's like, hey, you feel like you're pulled in a million different directions? I know what that's about. Here's 3 tips for what I do to overcome overwhelm, and you can too. All you need is the pain points and the language that they use. Colin, do you want to share one more before we wrap this up?
I want to share 3. So I just want to give you, I've just dropped a link in the chat. Thanks, Rob. Just to add to what you said there, to yes and it, climb inside the mind of is a useful phrase to play with when you're looking at language, right? Vivid, dimensionalized. They're 2 really powerful words that you can add to the prompt as well, especially when you're talking about copy and language that you want to resonate. So powerful, potent. There's a list of power words, but they're the most relevant to what we've just discussed that pop into mind. And then the other thing I've just put into the chat for you are the intentional play prompts. So these are just 3 ones that, I mean, I use these quite a lot, right? So with program design, this create a coaching exercise or visualization one is the example that we've just played with for Rosario, right? To create the visualization. So remember, think about these as Lego blocks. So create is the starting point, a coaching exercise or visualization. So that could be a worksheet, a session plan, a list of learning outcomes. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to achieve. These are all modular, right? Analyze the following. So I use this quite a lot. If I get a wordy email and I don't understand what the person's asking, I'll paste the contents of the email into AI and ask it, summarize this email. What's the driving force behind this? What are they asking me? Because I don't understand. Can you help me to understand? What do they really want? And what's the subtext? What are they really wanting to know? What's triggering them to ask these questions? Because in my understanding, I thought we were trying to do X. Why am I not seeing that? And the amount of light bulb moments I've had just by using that analyze prompt has been just mind blowing. I mean, I've just put one in there where you can use it to identify emotional drivers and limiting beliefs around client language. I use Fathom's transcript a lot for this. So Zoom sessions are recording using Fathom.video with the client's consent. And then I can analyze any or all or part of those conversations. And then the final one is the one that you mentioned, Al, act as. And again, this is a coaching focused version of the prompt, but these are modular. So you can adapt these for whatever you might need, right? Yeah, I've just dropped the link for that into the chat. Go and have a play with it and have some fun.
Cool. So what we are going to drop in the chat right now is the second snapshot here. And this is the survey at the end of your experience. So Colin, if you can just set a timer for 3 minutes, because we do not want this to take any longer than that. Just
We're on.
see your progress of what you learned and what stands out to you from this experience so far. And Colin, while they are doing that, is there anything that you would like to add or bring to the table while they're filling this out?
So- there's so much fun stuff that we didn't get to play with, and 90 minutes goes by so fast, doesn't it? We definitely need to do this again, Rob, because there's so much good stuff to keep playing with. Your feedback's important. We've got a couple of minutes left. In the interest of time, we want to be respectful of that. And yeah, if there's anything that comes up for you, feel free to share that. The sky really is the limit with this stuff. It genuinely is. And so the only thing that's that will prevent you from making progress in this is not having intentional play, consistent practice, like with anything. So I guess dedicating that time, just like we would dedicate time to fitness or well-being, dedicating the time to hone your new AI superpower, that is prompt engineering, with the stuff that we've talked about today, really is the key. And we do it all in baby steps, right, Rob? It's not a single leap up the mountain.
And Irina, we'll get to you in a second. Here's what I would say is the thing that helps us the most is knowing what you would want or are struggling with or are challenged by or would like the next level of, because we are actively using this on a daily basis. We both have coaching clients one-on-one and on a corporate level of who we're doing this for. So we see this as at the highest level possible. And we just want to help deliver value and help you see the light bulb moments that we have along the way. We're going to lead by sharing as much as we can, whether it's our screen and all of these things. But I know from my perspective, I just want to help answer the questions that are on your mind. And the more that you can be, hey, I've got this, or what about this, or hey, what about this possibility? That's what allows us to unlock it, to really unlock that for you guys. So, Irina, what's on your mind?
Well, and just a question, when you have that discussions with Plato or Aristotle, anybody, how do you ask not to, you know how it's the AI praises you or always on your side to begin with? Are you prompting in the beginning, be objective, for example, if you ask something, or as other practice, you ask at the end, give me like the other side or the view of the other person? Because usually I can see it. If I give the question, it's on my side. It's like, oh, you're like in the bad situation. Let me just, you know, be good to you.
So that's a great question, Irina. If we put an email into ChatGPT, it will always tell you it's amazing and here's how you can improve it. That's just how it rolls, right? It recognizes the pattern and then it tries to predict what it thinks you want. So if you don't tell it what you want, it's going to do that prediction, which can or cannot be what you want. So this is just circling back to what Rob shared about specificity. So if I'm having a conversation with the Stoics about some existential stuff, I will say, act as my philosophical coach and mentor. Always ask me challenging questions. Never take anything on face value. Be critical. Act as a critical friend. So see how those qualifications create that expectation of what I want the AI to do. Can you see the difference there, Irina? Rather than say, let's have a conversation and pretend to be Plato. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, do you have that prompt written?
Well, I don't have those prompts codified because I just kind of, this is where I play, right? I do a lot of in spiritual exploration and stuff like that. So that's my playground. I will
Can you create one for us, please? Because I feel like I do a lot of conversations as well, but then I can see it's really trying to praise me, even from Plato standpoint.
So try that qualification piece that we just talked about, that specificity of critical friend, always ask challenging questions, never take what I say on face value, always, question everything, and just try those different qualifications and it will change the outputs and the direction of the conversation. This takes us back to the very basic stuff that we talked about. The difference between the word tiny, small, minuscule is it's huge, right? It's not tiny, it's not minuscule, it's not small, it's massive. It's gigantic. It's enormous. Even those words, they all will create different outputs completely. So your understanding of that allows you to then go and play with some of these nuances that we've talked about today. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Irina, here's the level up. You don't know what to put? You ask ChatGPT, hey, I noticed that you always give me positive things. I want you to challenge me and do this. In a world-class structure, what would you include in the prompt to make sure that I get equal viewpoints of it? So this is all reverse engineering the design of it by saying, I want you to do this, but I don't know the words.
This is why I love creating with Rob, because he just sparks so much excitement in me. What I do a lot, and Rob's just reminded me there, I play with loads of rubbish. I get to an amazing outcome, and then I'll ask ChatGPT, how would I instruct you in the future to get this level of output from the first prompt?
Oh, this
Right?
is beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah. And I actually know this, but I forget to use it. That's the bad part.
All right. Thank you, Irina. So let's wrap a bow on this, and we're all going to share what we created today. Was there a light bulb moment? Was there something that stood out for you? And Emily, I'm going to start with you. What did you create today?
I created better visibility for myself on how to create more specific prompts to get better answers with my specific clients in mind.
I even like the specificity of the language you are using in the thing that you created, because it tells me everything about what you just created.
Master prompt engineer, Emily. I love it.
Right. Eva, what about you? What'd you create?
So I really like the structure from a prompting perspective. I call it the chunking. So how to take your questions and really put it into different layers. I really like that. It also helps me structure my ideas better. So that's awesome.
Wonderful. Al Kenny, what about you? What'd you create?
Yeah, I loved all the prompt engineering piece, specifically the re-engineering, the going back into key elements and being able to kind of double click on those. Love the structure that we got, and just that final thing that Colin said, how can I instruct you in future to get to this level or standard quicker? I'm like, that was one of the key things I wanted, and just dropped right at the end.
Yeah, Al, imagine creating a document of all the various super things that you've created, and then what that prompt could have been, because you're going to learn nuance, detail, depth, structure. It's like, oh, this is how. One of the biggest superpowers for me is I'm always learning. So I like to add the supporting sentence, or how did you do that? Because now I just learned how to do it for the next time so that I'm better. So this is going to Lego block for you, where you're like, ooh, this is good. Because Caroline, I believe at the beginning you said, I want to be able to educate others. One of the things that each of you just experienced that very few humans in the world have is you are now experts at this. You might not feel like this, but 99.99% of people in the world have never gone through a ChatGPT training. So your usage of it turns you into an expert, even if you do not feel like it. Colin and I are letting you know, if you're on a call with us, you are on an expert level of things. So Al, thank you for that. Rosario, what about you? What'd you create today?
Yeah, it's something that just hit me, is that and I've done this before, but I've forgotten to ask ChatGPT. I actually get my prompts, and then I have asked it to act as an expert prompt engineer, analyze the way I've been prompting, tell me how I can be better. But then I also, if there's something that I'm getting stuck, I'm not really asking the right, I will ask to act as an expert prompt engineer in that specific area, and to redraft my prompt. And that usually gets me unstuck, and I forgot about it too. It's like Irina and I, we need ChatGPT to be our second brain.
I love that, Rosario. There's also a software called promptsroyale.com. It's a website that you can put that outcome that you're looking to do, and it'll generate specific prompts based on that outcome as well. It's another way to just get a starting point. those conversations.
Cool. And we have Tom in the chat. He's going to explore the idea of conversations with authors, experts that I admire. Next level, take your book notes from those people, throw it in there and start executing on it. Caroline, what'd you create today?
I'm really comfortable with how I use ChatGPT, and sometimes I worry it'll take me too far away from what it is I'm trying to produce. But I love the fact I forgot about the uploading documents and getting the real clarity around the words, the how expansive a word can be and how much further it can take you. So actually bringing it back, and in a way with my clients, I have to keep it quite basic, but I can be a lot more specific, which is brilliant.
Love that. And Irina, what about you? What'd you create today?
Well, I created today, never miss any webinar from Unlimited. Because, you know, honestly, ChatGPT, I do, like, I would say not at your level, a lot of things, but then when I see Colin doing something, I'm like, oh my God, this is what you could do. Then it turns, Rob just adds something, and it's even like, oh, honestly? So that's, I think, going back to having those tools will never replace people, and especially professional and the people like who uses it like a lot. Thank you so much, yeah, both of you. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for this. There will definitely be a lot more of them. And if you're interested in joining our community, you can go to www.unlimited.coach. So sending
Thanks,
tons
everyone.
of good vibes your way.